The sign above the door read Performance Elite. The letters cracked and weathered, but still exuding a strange allure. This was supposed to be the place that would finally transform me. Inside, the air was warm, tinged with citrus and metal, an oddly invigorating combination. The receptionist greeted me with an unnervingly bright smile, her teeth impossibly white. "Welcome, Sandra. You're going to love it here," she said, her voice dripping with a confidence that felt more like a command than a suggestion. She slid a sleek silver membership card across the counter toward me. "This isn't just a gym, it's transformation." That was exactly what I was looking for. Transformation. My reflection in the mirrors at home had grown unbearable. I needed something drastic, something to mold me into a version of myself that people couldn't pity, couldn't overlook. Performance Elite had promised life-changing results, and I was desperate enough to believe them. The gymnasium was vast and dimly lit, with walls entirely covered in mirrors. The reflections were strange, muted somehow, as if the light didn't quite reach them. A dozen others stood waiting, their faces blank and pale under the flickering fluorescent lights. I felt out of place, but told myself it was just nerves. The instructor entered, a towering man with a sharp, authoritative presence. In his hand, he held a small spray bottle. "This," he announced, holding the bottle aloft, "is momentum mist. One spritz, and you'll never want to stop." He sprayed a fine mist into the air, the droplets catching the dim light like tiny diamonds. The smell was sweet, lavender with a tang of lemon. But as I inhaled, a tingling sensation swept through my body, igniting my muscles and erasing my fatigue. It was like nothing I'd ever felt before, an energy so potent it was almost euphoric. "Let's begin," he said, and the music started. The exercises began simply. Lunges, squats, burpees. The routine was challenging but manageable, at least at first. Time seemed to blur as we moved from one exercise to the next. Sweat dripped down my face. My heart pounded in my chest, but I couldn't stop. Every time I thought we'd reach the end, the sequence restarted. I glanced at the clock on the wall. It still read 6:30. My chest tightened. The others were faltering now. One by one, they collapsed onto the polished floor, their breath ragged. I stumbled too, my legs trembling, but I pushed myself back up, driven by a force I didn't understand. When I looked again at the woman beside me, she was gone, not just unconscious, gone. My breath caught as I turned toward the mirror. Her shadow was there, etched into the glass, frozen in mid-squat. Panic began to creep in, but the instructor's voice cut through my thoughts. "Push through it, Sandra. Perfection doesn't come without sacrifice." His words, once motivational, now felt like a warning. After what felt like hours, the class finally ended, or it should have. I staggered toward the door, desperate to escape, but it wouldn't budge. It wasn't locked. It simply refused to move, as if it were part of the wall. My stomach churned as I pounded on the unyielding metal. "Not satisfied yet, Sandra?" The instructor's voice was right behind me. I spun around, my legs nearly giving out. The room was empty except for him, but the mirrors were full. Shadows lined the walls, each one frozen in a different workout pose. None of them were mine yet. "You signed up for transformation," he said, his smile sharp. "This is what you wanted, isn't it?" I shook my head, backing away. "Let me out." My voice cracked, tears streaming down my face. He didn't respond. Instead, my reflection caught my eye. It wasn't mimicking me anymore. It was smirking, its movement slightly ahead of mine, as if it were leading. My stomach dropped as it reached out a hand and pressed it against the glass, the surface rippling like water. When I woke up, I was on the gym floor. My muscles screamed in protest, and my lungs burned. The clock still read 6:30. The others were back, their faces blank as they prepared to start the routine again. My mind reeled. It was impossible. The mist sprayed again. The music blared. My body moved, but it wasn't my choice anymore. The exercises resumed, each rep more grueling than the last. My legs burned, my arms ached, and my lungs felt like they were on fire, but something in the mist wouldn't let me stop. I wasn't alone. The others began to disappear again, one by one. their shadows joining the ever-growing gallery in the mirrors. I tried to resist, to force my body to stop, but the energy driving me was relentless. My reflection became more animated, its movements fluid and precise, as mine grew clumsy and desperate. It began to speak, its voice a low whisper that echoed in my mind. "You're almost there, Sandra. Keep going." I lost track of how many loops passed. Time didn't exist in Performix Elite. My body was failing, but the routine never ended. I caught glimpses of my shadow stretching across the mirror, its form becoming sharper, more defined. The realization struck me like a blow. I was becoming one of them. The instructor stood over me, his face devoid of humanity. "Perfection requires sacrifice," he said. "Are you ready to give everything?" I wanted to scream, to fight, but my voice was gone. All I could do was nod. The last thing I remember was the floor rising up to meet me, the world dissolving into darkness. Now I'm part of the gym. My shadow moves endlessly across the mirrored walls, lunging, squatting, and burping to the beat of a song that never ends. New people arrive every day, fresh and eager, their faces full of hope. They don't see us at first, the shadows etched into the glass. But they will. I don't know why we decided to follow the sound of the music that night. It was supposed to be a simple road trip. Just me and June, driving aimlessly through the Midwest, chasing the memories of summers long past. Nostalgia is a funny thing. It beckons you like an old friend, but sometimes it's more like a ghost. We were taking a back road when we heard it. Faint carnival music drifting through the air. "Do you hear that?" June asked, leaning out the open window. I nodded. It wasn't just the music. There was the unmistakable scent of funnel cakes and popcorn, as if it had been carried to us by the wind. "Let's check it out," she said, grinning like the kid I remember from those summers at the county fair. Against my better judgment, I turned the wheel toward the sound. The carnival appeared suddenly, like it had been waiting for us. Faded banners flapped in the breeze, advertising rides and attractions that seemed plucked straight from our childhoods. The Ferris wheel creaked, its lights flickering unevenly. A carousel spun in slow, haunting circles, its music warped but still oddly beautiful. "This is impossible," I whispered. Stepping out of the car, June didn't respond. She was already walking toward the entrance, her steps quick, like she might miss something if she hesitated. The sign above the gate read, "Carnival Letter Night, where time stands still." June laughed. Creepy, but cool. I wasn't so sure. We wandered through the grounds, marveling at the strange, decayed beauty of the place. Everything felt off, not quite abandoned, but not alive either. A popcorn stand had a fresh bag sitting on the counter, steam rising as if it had just been made. The bumper cars sparked faintly, as though they were a moment away from roaring to life. It wasn't until we reached the Ferris wheel that the carnival began to show its true face. "We have to ride this," June said, already climbing into one of the creaky carriages. I hesitated, but her excitement was infectious, and I found myself following. As the wheel rose, I could see the entire carnival sprawling beneath us, a labyrinth of rides, games, and faded memories. For a moment, it was beautiful, like stepping back into a dream I didn't know I'd been missing. Then I noticed something strange. "June, look." She followed my gaze. Below us, the people walking to the carnival were repeating themselves. A man in a top hat tipped it to the same woman over and over. A group of children ran past the same stall, their laughter looping like a broken record. "What the hell?" she whispered. Before I could answer, the wheel jerked to a stop. A voice crackled to life through a speaker mounted nearby. "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls," it announced, "it's time for the main event. Please proceed to the big top." We climbed down in silence, the weight of unease settling over us like a fog. The big top loomed at the center of the carnival, its faded red and white stripes sagging under the weight of time. As we approached, a man in a grotesque mask stepped into our path. "Welcome," he said, his voice deep and unnatural. "We've been waiting for you." June took a step back, but I stood my ground. "Who are you?" I demanded. The man tilted his head. "I'm the Barker, of course. And you two are the stars of tonight's show." June grabbed my arm. We're leaving. The barker laughed, a sound that made my skin crawl. No one leaves until the act is complete. We turned and ran. The carnival seemed to shift around us, twisting its layout to keep us trapped. Every time we reached what we thought was the exit, we found ourselves back where we started. June was the first to suggest a plan. "I'll distract him," she said. "No," I argued. "We stick together." She shook her head. "Sam, one of us has to get out. If this place is stuck in some kind of loop, maybe breaking through will fix it. You have to try." Before I could stop her, she turned and ran back toward the big top. The barker was waiting for her. His mask gleamed under the dim lights as he extended a hand. "The stage awaits, my dear." She took it without hesitation. "June!" I shouted, but she didn't look back. I ran in the opposite direction, desperate to find an exit. The carnival fought me every step of the way, its paths folding in on themselves like a living maze. Finally, I saw a tear in the air, like a glitch in reality. Without thinking, I dove through it. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in an empty field. The carnival was gone. I called for June, but there was no answer, only the faint echo of her laughter carried on the wind. For a long time, I stayed there, hoping she'd somehow appear. But she didn't. Months have passed since that night. I've tried to move on, but I can still hear the music sometimes, faint and far away. It's calling me back, but I'm too afraid to answer. The carnival took June, but it didn't kill her. Somewhere out there, she's still part of its endless performance, her laughter trapped in a loop I'll never be able to break. And the worst part? A small part of me wants to go back. Nostalgia can be dangerous like that.